my spirit name is Ba Dwewadan B'nai Si. That was given to me by a man, a famous healer on our reservation, whose English name was John Mink, but whose spirit name was Nakis. That was his spirit name. He's the man who my parents gave tobacco to before I was born, so he could dream and he could ask the spirit to reveal my name. 2 days after I was born, I was given the name Ba Dwewadan B'nai Si. So that's one of the most important things you can know, is who you are, your spirit name. That's in addition to your English name. The most important one is your spirit name.
Anin, Megaze Endundem, Nagachiwanang, Indunjaba, Kagayashikwa Indigenous. So, I'm Riley, I'm from Fond du Lac, I'm Eagle Clan, and my name is Kagayashikwa. It means soaring raven.
Shishogaduta Miedo, Washichia Joe Bendixson, Emakia Pido. And my Dakota name is Shishogaduta, and my English name is Joe Bendixson.
Rujinindwe Maganidio, Bimase Kiko Indigenous, Wabushashi Dodem, Biswaganing in Dunjaba, Ojibwe Nishinabe, Mide Kwe and Dao.
One thing I did take out of it I thought was really important was my clan name. Finally found it, so it would have been Makwa. So it was Bear Clan. I don't have a name, so I'm just Ezra still to find that.
Takuya pia makpia mawashte wia makyapie. Chanshay apio tue khamatahaye. In English, my name is Ann O'Keefe Jackson. I'm from Lower Sioux in Martin, Minnesota.
My name is Frankie Jackson. Damia Dakota Sisitawan Wakbetawan Dakota Oyate Pedo. I'm an enrolled member of the Sistenwapton Oyate. Our reservation is located in northeast South Dakota.
Bashking Wabagun Indigenous. Wabaguni Sangaun Geodatizian. Ginu Indodem. Mayabaking Indunjaba. Gash Budinaki Ma Wabanu Gaming Ingitijium Datis. So, most everybody knows me as Tara Chadwick. That's my birth name. And my pre-birth name is Bashking Wabagwan. That's my spirit name.
Wabishke Makwa Goyak Indigenous Minoa Waisi Wabijeshi in the Penimanotawa Asia du Demian. Apjego Namigo Twendam Gainin Omapitash Dayan, Jibitishu Kamanyo, MIYFP, Asian Academogok, Minoa Jibe Nigan Zian Manike Goshkutuyam Banin. So I just wanted to start with that, just using Ojibwe, in part because one of the things about the MIYFP project that we really asked and tried to inspire our kids to do was to develop an interest, a pride, a renewal, I guess, of sorts in using their own languages, whether that's in this case Ojibwe or Dakota. And it was fantastic watching young people stand up, confidently using their language, feeling pride in it, which is very different from the time when I grew up. Even amongst those kids of my generation who were able to speak Ojibwe, you didn't want to speak Ojibwe or use an indigenous language, at least in the Midwest here. So it's great to see young people stand up and do that. And if anything, they have inspired me to want to do the same. So that's why when you asked me to introduce myself this morning, I thought, I'm going to go with the good lead that all these MIYFP kids showed us. Stand up, use your language first, use your own name first and your own language, and be proud of that and wear that and be that. That's one of the happy things I think I got from this project was not to have to always wear your formal name first. And I could have started this and said, hello, I'm Dr. Brian McGinnis from the University of Minnesota Duluth. I was saying who I was really, where I really came from as my way to start. In our old stories, it says that when you know your name, you connect yourself to your past, but also deeply to your future. And that's what we've encouraged them to do, is to use those names and be who they are supposed to be. That's really what it comes down to. And in this camp here, when we talk about education, it's education. I'm not going to say it always I'm not saying it deliberately misleads our young people necessarily, but it's very limited what they're exposed to. And in that limitation, there's also a problem because it suggests that's all there is. So what we have done here is opened up more doorways to say there is so much more. And that's everything from exploring genealogy to knowing the names of your grandparents, your great-grandparents, where they came from. And in many cases, that's where those are the communities where our young people come from. So what we have wanted them to do is to be able to know the stories of those names, those place names, what those mean so that we can protect them into the future.
This area right here is called Papashkominittigong, the place of the bald-headed island. And it's because of that island I was telling you about this down in the river. And so all along here, my ancestors built a village here. They came up from the river and they built up here on higher ground. This is called Papashkominittigong. If you look down, if you were to walk down the hill here, behind here is a hill, goes down to a railroad track, which runs along the river. And if you were to go down probably basically almost about straight down this way, east this way, southeast, you would see the bald-headed island that's down there. And it's all just like, it looks like sand. It's a sandy island. We came up the hill and we built our village all along this, what now is a road, that's why it's called Reservation Road, because it was like this was the reservation until we started to move.
For me, to know where you're from is about having roots. And to be rooted into something and to be rooted into a place gives me a sense of stability. It helps me to recognize that I come from some place. I am rooted here, So I think it's about stability for me. But I think to know where you come from provides that feeling of belonging and understanding of connection to things as well.
The reason that we did this project in the first place was because we realized there was such a need for some more positive action amongst this segment of our population. We do a lot for a lot of different age groups, but for young adolescent Indigenous peoples, that is indeed the most at-risk population we could imagine.
One of the things that we're experiencing right now in our communities is a high number of suicides, youth suicide. Even myself growing up in my community, we've always had that. That's something that has become the norm for us. I think it's important that we develop young leaders in our communities that can give back to their community, that can come back into the community and empower the younger ones behind them, to instill that cultural pride, to lead by example. Our young leaders need to know that they have a bright future, that they have something to look forward to. I think those are the strong things that we need to focus on.
So it's really tough to go out and lead when you don't really know who you are. So, and I see that. I mean, at Lower Sioux, we just had a couple of suicides with our youth, and I think there's really that everything we kind of talk about, that missing of a sense of really belonging, of having a purpose, of having a role, and a feeling that you have a voice, that anyone is listening to you.
I think unless we've got really strong women in our lives and really strong parents and grandparents and role models in our lives, it's really confusing. It was confusing when I was a girl. And supposedly things are better. But when you think of the suicide rates amongst our kids, when you think of the dropout rates that we have in school, when you think of the teenage birth that we still have such a high rate of, when you think of the disappearance of our children with drugs and alcohol, I mean, they just simply disappear. I mean, clearly, it is still very confusing for them. It's still very challenging. It's still very hard for them.
I feel like as Indigenous people, we get stereotyped and criticized for our color, and our people they feel like, well, they know we're getting stereotyped, and they feel like if we're getting stereotyped, you know, why change it? Why try to change it? So we kind of accept that stereotype of Native people and doing drugs or, you know, violence and gangs, and we kind of just let it become us.
We realized there was this huge deficit of hope and inspiration, and this lack of awareness amongst young people that they had a degree of control over their own destinies, that they actually could own that and take that and use that and make something with that. So in addition, you know, not even thinking about what is there, which is a problem, the problems that are there, looking at what isn't there. And that was, I think, for us, one of the huge points was realizing, how do we get inspiration back? How do we get hope back? How do we get young people realizing, you know what, I am not a slave to this history that I have come from. Just because I do not speak my language because my great-grandfather lost it in residential school doesn't mean that has to be the legacy of my family forever or my community forever, that I can change it, I can do something about this. And that was, I think, where we wanted to begin from. Let's give young people that message that they can stand up, they can do things, and that they can be a community of role models for each other. And that's one thing that is missing hugely in many Indigenous communities. Role models, where are they? We don't see them enough.
More than ever, our children need encouragement. They are leaders, but they need us to encourage them. They need us to push them. They need us to, you know, make them get over their distraction of the video game or the whatever else, you know, whatever is the things, you know, we need to share with them our values and say, you know, this is not a priority, this is a priority. Like, you know, especially, you know, those who are part of our family or our close community, you know, they need to know what, you know, what we value.
I'm 100% confident how we tackle some of the problems such as drug abuse, drug addiction, high suicide rates. It all begins with cultural identity. I think you build that pride within yourself as an individual, and I think it's very important for kids to have that pride, to have a better understanding of who they are, and have pride and understanding of who their relatives in the past were, because we're beautiful people. We have a beautiful culture. Our language is beautiful. I wake up every day thanking the Creator for who I am and for the strong ancestors that I come from. And that's something that I try to teach my children every day, is to be proud about your heritage, your culture.
We're going to walk down to the site of what we came upon as Ojibwe people when we were coming up the river to figure out where we're supposed to live at. And so we call Cloquet Chumukamana Negaming, because of the place that we're going to go and look at and see. And then when we get out there, I'll explain to you what Chumukamana Negaming is, and you can maybe see that for yourself. But I want you to pay attention to everything best you can. This is a river, it runs into Lake Superior, and so it's Chigamizibing, or we call it Wanitigweang, which means the river that's crooked and bent in a lot of ways, to the point where it would almost seem like it's dangerous to travel on because you don't know what's coming around the corner. So that's why we call it Wanitigweang sometimes. Yeah, but they fly into you and then you run away from them. So we're going to come here to Chumukamana Negaming, to Knife Falls here, so we can understand what we first ran into. and then we had to go up and go around, and further up the river, then we came to Papashkomunitik, and that's where we knew we would make our village at first, as the people of what's now called Fond du Lac.
You know, I do really often nowadays think about some of the stories that we're gifted with from our great teachers and from our creation stories that talk about those times when our people were really weak. You know, in all of our creation stories, we have those times that our people struggled, or those who came before us struggled, and I think about that often because I really do see us in that time again, in that type of time again, and yet, you know, amongst all those political and social and health and environmental challenges, yet our young people and a few of our elders, and especially the very young people, really, really do, they bring a shining light of hope. They really do. It makes it seem like we are, you know, there's no question that despite the fact that there's a challenging time, we're gonna get through it, is the fact that you look at some of the young people around us and they have no fear. like they have no fear, no hesitation, and they know what they're gonna do and they know how they're gonna get through this. So, I mean, it's almost partly just the determination, you know, that they have, like that lack of faltering that, you know, that is the pathway that we will follow to get there. So now, as I'm reflecting with you, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess my role is kind of changing. Now my job is changing to like trying to keep up with the young people and follow them and, you know, help them where I can and, you know, like go where they lead me.
To me, I think being a leader, one of the most important things is being yourself and being confident in who you are and knowing that that's who you are. And to be a leader, you have to be confident in yourself first. And so that's one of the things that you have to struggle with before you can be an effective leader.
A good leader is someone who's willing to put the people before him and just want what's best for everyone in general, someone that everyone can look to for help or assistance in any way, shape, or form.
To me, to guide a lot of people along and to just kind of be a light to other people and just show them what you think is right.
I think a good leader should have to be able to give back to their community.
If we all come together, then there was more of a chance that we can make things happen for our communities.
Just want to be a leader for everybody, like not just people younger than me. I want to influence even the older people, even my elders. I want them to see that I'm taking those steps to getting wise just like they are.
If they were going to go home and bring back what they learned to their people, to their family, to their community, and then share that with them. Take back something and share it. That's kind of part of our tradition too, is just whatever you get, you give that away freely.
I'm proud of our generation. I think that we'll be great leaders. I want people to find pride in their heritage. I know there's a lot of Native people that just go throughout their lives like anyone else, but I want people to recognize that that heritage it's all we have left. So we have to keep that alive.
Ayan Guamazon, keep going. Ayan Guamazon, don't quit. Don't give up. Just keep going. One foot in front of the other. Just keep going. You know, I think we have to have a relationship with the Creator, and however it is that we understand that. And then we have to trust that relationship so that when the time comes when everything is awful in my life, when things are difficult and challenging and I just don't know what to do, I can take my tobacco, I can put my tobacco down, and I can ask for the guidance that I need. But I have to keep going, you know. Ayan Guamazon, don't quit, don't give up. You know, if there's a message that I would want to give to young people, that's what I'd want to tell them. You know, don't give up, we're waiting for you. We're waiting, we've been waiting a long time, and prophecy is about to be fulfilled. Ayan Guamazon, don't give up, we're waiting on you. You're almost there, you're almost there. Don't know what that means, because I can't go there. I won't be there with them. But I'll do everything I can to send them there, to point them in the right direction and just help them to know that you can walk this, you can do this. Ayan Guamazon, don't give up.
You know, I like being an Indian person because of what all I'm connected to and the fact that I just feel I have it's amazing, I feel purpose in that. To something which almost seems ironically purposeless in communities, I feel I have greater purpose because of my Indian connection to the world and the universe and everything before and beyond myself. So I don't know, I find strength in that, I find hope in that. There's something really, really good about being an Indigenous person, maybe as opposed to being an Indian person.
Every time I encounter young people in a classroom or in groups like this, or I see you coming into the lodge, I have great hope. I have great hope that we will fulfill what the Creator has given us to do. We still respect the earth. We still know who we are. Mi'io.